north, stings the corner. You know it's coming. You still can't stop it.
Welcome in, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It is 8 o'clock. It's the Lacrosse Rundown. It's a solo episode for the very first time. Our co-host, Jay Alter, due to the crazy winter storm, is having some travel struggles. He's, of course, ESPN's lacrosse play-by-play, as well as NCAA professional games, and so much more. But he also does basketball on ESPN and football, college football. So he's got his hands full with his schedule, and this crazy winter storm decided to make plans for him to not be a part of the Lacrosse Rundown this week, but that's okay. It is me today with you guys hopping on the show to talk about all the things that have happened and all the exciting things that are coming this weekend. If you do not already know, it is officially game week for us at the Boston Guard of the WLL. We play on Friday at 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Jay will be in the booth alongside the legendary Sheehan Stanwick Birch, friend of the show, multi-time guest of the show. But we got that as well as a full slate of college games to talk about that happened this past week and coming up to preview for this week. So kicking it off with, I think, was one of the best storylines heading into the weekend, and that is the Penn State Nittany Lions. I know we talked about them in the offseason, the fact that they have a new head coach in Kayla Trainer coming over from Syracuse, one of the best players of all time, someone I had the privilege of being coached by at Boston College and the privilege of playing with for the U.S. women's national team. But they're 5-0 for the first time since 2017 under this new head coaching staff, and they beat Pitt. I know we had head coach Emily Boissonneau on the show a week ago. She previewed this game a little bit. She talked about the historic way that Pitt has started their season. By the way, they're 2-0 in the ACC for the first time ever, but they did lose in overtime to this Penn State Nittany Lions team that I believe has a chance to crack the top 10 standings based on everything else that's going on and based on the season that they've put together so far. I believe the Nittany Lions are legit. Rockette Allen is a freshman attacker for them. She had the game-winning goal on a third chance shot, and she leads the team in points so far. I think she's over 52% in shooting percentage. She's just been poised. She's been consistent for them, and I think the Nittany Lions could go on a run and hang with these Big Ten teams like we've previewed before, the Marylands, the Northwesterns, and all the others that have been making a case for themselves, Hopkins, who I'll talk about in a second. But back to the Pitt Panthers before we move on to the next game. I think Molly Kane, their goalkeeper, who's a senior, is certainly legit. Let me know what you guys think if you had a chance to watch Pitt in their first few games of the season. Unfortunately, it was a third chance shot for her. She did all she could in cage. She had 10 saves in their win over Virginia Tech this past weekend. But she's been so steady for them, and it feels like because they have her veteran leadership back there, I feel like Pitt's going to win some more ACC games and continue to remain in the top 25 and cause a little bit of noise among the other ACC teams. So even though they dropped this one to Penn State's a great team. I think both these teams are highly ranked and deservedly so. All right. My favorite game of the weekend to watch because of the time of the weekend that it was a Friday night game under the lights, and that was out on the West Coast. It was Stanford beating Syracuse 8-6. The reason I love this so much is because we used to have Thursday night lacrosse a few seasons ago. This was a Friday night lights feel for the game of lacrosse. It was 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 5:30 p.m. of course on the West Coast. But these are top tier ACC teams that came to battle, a lot on the line. Stanford's been talked about a lot. They are ranked number 2 nationally, so there's been a lot of hype around them, and everyone was interested to see how they would do with a Syracuse team that also had dropped 2 games, but has had the toughest schedule out of any team in the country. So it was a total defensive battle. If you guys watch it, let me know in the comments what you guys thought. I think the Stanford defense doesn't get enough credit. I think their zone is legit. They bait you into making passes into the middle. They have all-out ball pressure. They'll trap you. And then their goalkeeper, the backbone of the defense, Lucy Pearson, she's a senior, she's a veteran, and she's active. She comes out of the cage, she'll get ground balls, she'll run to the end line, she'll do whatever it takes to earn extra possessions for the Stanford team. And when a game is so close like this one was, when it was 6-6 for a majority of the end of the game, it matters a ton that your defense can continue to make stops, both woman down and in even situations. And I think she and the rest of this zone defense are a part of the reason they can take their speed in the midfield and translate a defensive stop quickly into an offensive goal and a spark and tons of momentum. So I just think Stanford played an extremely smart game. And then you look at Syracuse, they're sitting at 0-3, but disclaimer should be underneath that 0-3 because they have played the top 3 teams in the nation. North Carolina, we talked about that one. But before North Carolina, they played Maryland, who's currently ranked number 3. And then, of course, Stanford, who's currently ranked 2nd. So I think Syracuse has a hopeful offense. I was really impressed with Molly Gusick on the right side of the field. She also took a bunch of draws for them and looked promising there. You've got Ashley Volpe to balance it out on the left side, who's dynamic, shifty, and she's an electric player to watch. And then you have Alexa Vogelman in the midfield. So I feel like they have the pieces, and not to mention Daniela Guyette was a goalkeeper for them last year. She's the goalkeeper for them again this year. She had 9 saves in that game against Stanford. She's been consistent. I feel like she was most of the reason that North Carolina Syracuse game a couple weeks back was really close. So if you're a Syracuse fan out there, do not lose hope because they're 0-3 right now. I think there is a lot of promise on this Orange team under new head coach Reggie Thorpe, and I'm excited to see what they do next. And Stanford is legit. I hope you guys are having fun watching them because I am. That's for sure. All right. There were some fun games that happened at a LAX play day of sorts down in Atlanta, Georgia. So there were 3 really legitimate, exciting top 25 matchups that occurred in Atlanta. And I thought it was a really cool moment for the state of the sport, the growth of the game, bringing these 3 top 25 matchups to a non-traditional area like Atlanta, Georgia, having these fans, whether it be high school teams, youth teams, local coaches, people and their families, coming out on a Saturday, and they're able to watch wall-to-wall action. It was Michigan versus Boston College, but before that, it was Florida versus Clemson, and then the nightcap was Army versus Florida State. So, I mean, what more could you want in a day of lacrosse, of exciting top teams with these players who are making a case for themselves? So in the first game of the day, Florida beat Clemson down in Atlanta. I think Florida is having a new type of mentality since they dropped that game to Michigan. And they came out and they won a very close battle against Clemson. And Clemson has been in the top 10. They had a really close game with Stanford as well. That one was 10-9, I think a week ago. And I think Clark Hamilton has taken a serious jump for them offensively. She's their blazing speed on the left side of the field, lefty dominant attacker. And she can win any matchup that I think, she will see in front of her. She's just so dynamic and such a spark plug for them, has super quick footwork. And that's what allows her to really command that side of the field. She had 4 goals, 2 assists in this matchup against Clemson. And then Franny Hahn, she's someone we talked about last year in the Final Four a lot. She was the Big 12, freshman of the year a season ago. And she works really well on the right side, kind of in that no man's land crease area. She's a dominant attacker, as we talked about last year, but she had 3 goals and 1 assist. So they're starting to put the pieces together on that Florida offense without Gianna Monaco, who is not with the team anymore. And they beat Clemson. That's a statement win for them at a neutral site. But since losing to Michigan in the season opener, they go on and they beat Loyola, who, by the way, just beat Princeton, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Clemson. That's 2 really good bounce-back wins for Florida. So can't count them out. You cannot count them out. They've been to the Final Four the last 2 seasons, and that's for a reason. I know they lost their assistant coaches, Reggie Thorpe and Nicole Levy, who are now at Syracuse, but I think this team has the talent. We saw a lot of young talent on that field in championship weekend for the Florida Gators a year ago. and they're older, they have more experience, and I'm sure that first loss to Michigan stung and was a little bit of a wake-up call, but it seems like they're bouncing back quite nicely. In the second game of the day, Michigan beat Boston College in Atlanta in double overtime. This was the most exciting matchup of the day to watch, although Florida-Clemson was a one-goal game. And CC Stein had the game-winning goal in double overtime. It was a battle of the goalies for most of the game because it felt like the goalies were keeping these two teams in it, between Elizabeth Johnson on the other side for Michigan, and then Shea Dolce for the Boston College Eagles. Both of them were making saves at the end of regulation and in the first and second overtime to keep their teams in it. They both had 12 saves on the day. Emma Bradbury had 3 goals for Michigan. Callie Norris is a name I don't think is being said enough about the way that she provides for this offense for the Michigan Wolverines. And this was a huge win for them, again, at a neutral site over Boston College. And this Michigan team dropped one to Notre Dame, but they do have the win over Florida and now over Boston College. So the Big Ten race, we talk about it. I know Jay thinks the Big Ten is actually the strongest conference this year. And if he were here, he would back that argument. But I think that they are in the mix. They are very much in the mix with all of these teams. And that's like 5 teams right there in the Big Ten that could make a case to win the Big Ten title and earn that top seed in the tournament, depending on how the rest of the season shakes out. So, and then the final game of the day, the nightcap, was Army versus Florida State. We've talked a lot about Army, Bridget Duffy, the senior class at Army, and what they can do with the special roster they have this season. They did drop that game to Northwestern a week ago pretty handily. Northwestern took care of business, bouncing back from that Colorado upset. So they got a hungry Northwestern team on the road. But then they came into Atlanta and they finished off the day with a really strong win over Florida State, an ACC team. And this win will go a long way while Army continues on and goes to enter into Patriot League play. It was 13-7 in the final. Allison Riley set a record with 8 assists on the day. She had 10 points total. And so she's their factor behind the crease and as that attacking presence while their midfield is so strong with players like Bridget Duffy. But again, the growth of the game down in Atlanta, I love that they brought these 3 top 25 matchups. They were broadcasted and streamed and everyone could watch. There were tons of fans in the crowd. It was just a really cool moment for the sport and to show how strong the game of women's lacrosse is in a place like that. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, and to go home and be able to see the growth of the game in Texas, and then to see this, now in Georgia and in a lot of places where you wouldn't think of lacrosse being as strong as it may be. It was really cool to shine a light on the lacrosse community there. And I hope that this continues, whether it be in Atlanta or whether it be in another non-traditional hotbed for the sport. This is so impactful for these young fans to get to see high-level lacrosse and see maybe a path for them. If they want to go play college lacrosse one day, they could see it right in front of their face, right in front of their eyes in their home state, maybe their home city. Maybe it was their home venue where they play their games. Just such a cool day all around. Now, to shift gears a little bit, I know there were a lot of upsets on the women's side, but I don't think there were quite as many upsets and shocking results than there were on the men's side of the NCAA college lacrosse landscape. Number 1 and number 2 go down on the same day on the men's side. If you guys watch these 2 games, let us know right now in the comment section, because I want to know what you guys thought of Syracuse and Maryland both losing in the same day. I can't remember a time where these 2 teams in particular at these 2 points that they're at number 1 and number 2 have lost on the same day. And there has never been a point where Maryland and head coach John Tillman has lost to Syracuse and to Princeton. I know it's early. I know that, people are going to talk a lot about what Maryland's going to look like, a week from now, 2-3 weeks from now, and of course into May. But this was so exciting for the Ivy League on the whole, because Harvard beat Syracuse, and this was Harvard's second win in a row over Syracuse. This is now back-to-back years. They went into the Dome a year ago, if you guys remember, and beat Syracuse on the road, and now they hosted them in a snowy day in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They finished on a 3-0 run with 5 minutes left. Graham Stevens, their goalie, had 14 saves. He was unbelievable in the cold. I know it's harder to move in the cold. Of course, it can be a grinded out type of game when it's snowing and it's, you can barely see. But the Syracuse offense struggled to crack the Harvard defense, really from the second quarter on. And they held Joey Spallina to 2 goals on 14 shots. So credit to that scouting report that coaching staff drew up. And they got the job done in back-to-back years, taking down Syracuse, who was the number 1 team heading into the week because of their win over Maryland, which we talked about a week ago. And then Princeton goes into College Park and beats Maryland for the first time since 2004. I did not expect Maryland, and I'm sure you guys did not expect Maryland to lose back-to-back games in back-to-back weeks. But if there's any staff that will take these losses and turn them into really strong learning moments for the team, it is John Tillman and his coaching staff. We've seen what they can do. They have been to countless championship weekends and national championship games. And I can't believe any other scenario other than them turning this into a positive and really bouncing back in a strong way. But credit to Princeton. Ryan Craddock, their goalie, in the clutch, had one of the strongest, most explosive saves that looked ridiculous in the final seconds of that game to seal the deal. And I know Princeton on the men's side graduated a lot. They graduated Coulter Mackesy, who's now a part of the Boston Cannons in the PLL. But their offense has some legitimate studs. And I believe, I know that they will be a strong team to watch. They were exciting a season ago. They're going to be exciting as this season continues on. They've got Chad Palumbo, Peter Bonanno, and Nate Kabiri. I think they just have a lot of weapons, and they're continuing to reload, even though they are graduating, talent year after year. And I love this for the Ivy League. I love it on the women's and the men's side. I love the shakeup. I love the upsets. Everybody expected Syracuse and Maryland to win because of what they've shown so far this season, especially Syracuse. But it was a freezing cold day, and you got to think they play in the Dome and they play a lot of indoor games, especially early on in February. It is a luxury to have an indoor when all these games are getting shifted and moved around because of the weather and because it is February, and it's been quite the scene from Mother Nature these past few weeks. But yeah, I think it's interesting when you think about they step into a place like Harvard, Cambridge on a snowy February weekend. And maybe it was too much of a challenge for them to find their rhythm in a setting like that with a packed crowd, by the way. Really cool atmosphere to see how many fans showed up despite the environment and the weather. All right. To round it out, we had 2 really fun games. One coming out of the Big Ten, which was Hopkins beating Penn. Hopkins went into Penn. They've had quite the roller coaster start to their season, but I think they've proven a lot about themselves and about their senior veterans and their leadership, but more importantly, their offensive weapons. And I think that's Ava Angelo and Lacey Downey. We talked about them a lot a season ago, and we talked about Ava Angelo in particular a lot. And in this win over Penn, she had 5 goals, 2 assists. But you know who else had 5 goals and 2 assists? Lacey Downey. She transferred from Boston College a few years back, and she has proven to be one of the most fun players to watch in college lacrosse. She had some eye-popping plays in this win over Penn in the variety of ways in which she was scoring. She's got a pretty legit outside shot, and she's really found her rhythm, found her role in this Hopkins offense that has a lot of threats. And now Hopkins is sitting as a team who has ranked wins over Loyola, who is climbing the ranks quickly, Duke, and Penn. So really strong start for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Again, throw them into the Big Ten conversation. The Big Ten now, again, 4, 5, maybe 6 teams who could legitimately win the conference. I cannot wait to see that shake out. And the last game of the day, which I know that you all here at the Lacrosse Rundown expected to hear your co-hosts, myself and Jay Alter, on the call. Unfortunately, Notre Dame versus Virginia was moved inside because of the weather that we've been talking about. So there was no game on TV. It was not televised, and it was moved indoors. So we were unable to watch, and we were unable to call the game, sadly. But we will be reunited soon, and that will be something we'll talk about here in a second. But UVA comes into Notre Dame. They're 1-3. It feels like when you watch them, there's a lot of question marks and a lot of missing pieces, a lot of lack of chemistry, at least, from the outside looking in. We know what they did a season ago. We know the talent they had. Kate Gallica, Jenna DiNardo, Madison Alimo on offense. Kate Gallica at the draw control as well. And they added Elise Fennell, who was the goalie for Florida a season ago in the Final Four. So you're thinking before the season starts that Virginia is going to go off to the races and have a really strong resume before they head into ACC play. But they start the season 1-3. And then they're faced with a Notre Dame team who's sitting at 4-0 and looks unstoppable with the wins that they put together over Michigan and Boston College and Harvard as well. But Virginia goes into Notre Dame on a Sunday at 4:00, and they shock. I think they had the biggest win of the whole weekend. They won 9-7. Kate Gallica, 3 goals, 2 assists, 8 draw controls against a really strong draw control unit led by a freshman for Notre Dame that has proven to be a draw unit that has made some noise early in the season. But this UVA defense held Notre Dame only to 15 shots, and they were able to really hold them when it mattered most, especially in that fourth quarter. And I think, this is one of the biggest things that you can have as a team moving into now kind of that next segment of your season. You have a few games under your belt. You're heading into conference play. You have a lot of strong opponents on your schedule coming up. This was a must win, really, really needed win for Virginia. Now they have a little bit of momentum. They have confidence. They're finding areas in which they can improve. You can certainly count on the fact that coaching staff looked at their first 4 games and they understood a lot more about their group heading into this Notre Dame game. But kudos to this Cavalier team for rallying, going into Notre Dame and taking down the Irish, handing them their first loss on the season. And now, they have momentum rolling into this month of March. But all that being said, we've got some professional lacrosse on the schedule coming up. And I know the college lacrosse landscape is continuing to ramp up. There are a lot of games that will happen over the course of this next week that you guys, I'm sure, will be locked into and have your eyes on, as will we. And I don't want to forget that these will all be going on while we will be down in Springfield, Virginia, just outside of DC, playing in the championship series for the WLL. Jay, again, will be in the booth with the legendary Sheehan Stanwick Birch. She will be on the call. I cannot wait for this. I will be on the field with my Boston Guard teammates starting Friday at 6:00 Eastern time. That is our first game against the New York Charging. Then we play Saturday, and the rest of the schedule will be online. We'll also link it here below in the comment section. But I hope you guys are so fired up to watch some pro lacrosse. And if you are new to the show, we started this show over a year ago at the first championship series of the WLL. And we broke down all the fun things that were going to be happening around the professional game. This is year 2 of this event, and this is going to kickstart the entire 2026 schedule that we will have professionally. We've got a full summer schedule. We've got weekends on weekends, traveling around and playing 10-on-10 this summer. But this comes first. It is championship series. It's in the sixes format. And if you've played sixes lacrosse, you know how fun, exciting, how fast-paced it is. Everything can change on a dime. It's just nonstop action, end to end. And you got 5-on-5 plus a goalie. It's a shorter field. For the first time ever, the women will be using a 2-point line. So there will now be 2-point goals allowed in the WLL Championship Series coming up this week. So that's another thing to look out for. But we've got 4 teams. The Boston Guard is my team. We've got the Maryland Charm, the California Palms, and the New York Charging. So if you guys are from one of those 4 spots, make sure you lock in and cheer on your team. Even if you're not, you just love some high level lacrosse. These are the best players in the world, all headed to the same place to compete for a championship. And I cannot wait. I hope you guys are excited. While there will be some exciting college lacrosse matchups, which we will break down with you guys here, next week on the show. And we hope that you guys are excited for those. We cannot wait to break down what is going on in the WLL. And we hope you guys are ready to tune in and watch. Again, first game is 6:00 Eastern time on Friday. We will be I will be on the field, and Jay Alter and Sheehan Sandwick Birch will be in the booth for you guys. I hope you're excited. But until then, I appreciate you guys joining this solo episode. And a lot of fun things are happening in the college game. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of all the games that took place, some questions you guys have for us and want us to answer or preview. And also, we always want to know what games you're tuning into. So let us know down in the comments section. Thank you guys, and shout out to our partners at Roan for being the best partners of this show and allowing us to do what we do, which is join you all each week and talk about our favorite sport in the world, lacrosse, that is kicking off in high gear, both at the college level and professionally. But I got to go get ready for my game, and I'll see you guys not only on the field this weekend, but next week right here on the Lacrosse Rundown.